U.S. Lacrosse presents the 2013 Rule Interpretation DVD.
Thank you for taking the time to view and learn from this Rules Interpretation DVD. Whether you're an official, coach, or spectator, understanding the rules and enforcing them in a standardized way is a key component to keeping the women's game safe and fun for all its participants. U.S. Lacrosse is the only organization providing a comprehensive sport-specific official certification, and it represents the standard training designed to keep the game safe, fair, and fun. This DVD is just one of the many educational tools that the U.S. Lacrosse Officials Training and Education Program provides to its members. By watching this video, you've already taken an important step in raising your game, personally and within your region. A rule interpretation is merely one component of official certification. Completing the other requirements is essential to standardizing the quality of officiating on the field. Likewise, coaches, administrators, and parents must be good consumers of officiating services and only use those officials who have completed U.S. Lacrosse certification and demand at least 2 officials on every contest. All lacrosse participants have a responsibility to support the mission of U.S. Lacrosse, to inspire participation while protecting the integrity of the sport. To accompany and support the existing certification standards for coaches and officials, USL's established the Gold Stick Standards of Excellence for lacrosse leagues. With an emphasis on player safety and a positive playing experience, these operational guidelines set high but attainable standards for teams, leagues, and programs to establish the most impactful and fulfilling experience possible for their youth who play the sport of lacrosse. U.S. Lacrosse Gold Stick Standards of Excellence represent the best practices that should be incorporated by quality youth lacrosse programs, whether they are in established, well-resourced areas or serving emerging, less-resourced communities. At their best, youth lacrosse programs provide young people with a safe environment in which to have fun, build character, learn sportsmanship, and develop life skills that help them become responsible adults. To learn more, please visit uslacrosse.org. This DVD also includes specific instruction regarding the Youth Rules Initiative, a comprehensive approach to providing youth at all levels with an appropriate set of rules by which to play, to maximize their development and love of the game. If you'd like any additional information on any of these programs, please visit uslacrosse.org. Thanks for all you give to the game and good luck with your season.
Major rule changes. Rule 1, the playing area. There have been a few changes to the playing area this year. A penalty area has been added. The penalty area is directly in front of the scorer's timer's table at the rear of the substitution area. A player serving a penalty must sit or kneel in this area. The team benches and coaches areas have been further clarified and defined. The team bench area should be at least 4 meters from the sideline and does not include the area behind the scorer's table. Coaching area. The coaching area should be at least 4 meters from the sideline and does not include the area behind the scorer's table. Rule 2, equipment and uniforms. NOCSI Ball Standard. Beginning January 1st, 2014, NOCSI-approved balls must be used for play. NFHS stamped balls already meet this new requirement. Whenever possible, play with NFHS balls and remind teams that a NOCSI stamp will be required for 2014. The uniform specifications that were passed in 2008 will take effect this season. Team uniform violations. For team violations, the opponent shall be awarded a free position on the first draw of the game. This team infraction will not be further penalized during that game. Rule 3, game personnel. Captains. Officials will no longer ask for a speaking or acting captain. Any captain may speak for the team, and green cards will be recorded for the team. Pre-game meeting. Officials' pre-game expectations for the captains and coaches meeting have been established. All of these topics need to be covered in the pre-game meeting. Rule 4, time factors and scoring. Possession timeout. A team in clear possession of the ball may now request a timeout. This may be requested by the head coach or any player on the field. A dead ball timeout may be requested through the scorer's table, and a horn will sound after a whistle has been blown to stop play. Rule 5, play of the game. Suspended games. If a suspended game, one in which less than 80% of playing time has elapsed, is to be played on another day, it must be played from the point of interruption. See the rulebook for information regarding statistics, cards, and suspensions ejections for a suspended game. Out of bounds. For boundary calls that do not involve a penalty, the player with the ball will be placed 2 meters inside the boundary. Relative positioning shall apply. Rule 7, penalty administration. Defensive goal circle violation. The penalty administration for defensive goal circle fouls other than the illegal deputy has changed. The free position will be taken at the 8-meter mark on the goal line extended. The offending player, except the goalkeeper, will go 4 meters behind her. This foul is no longer indirect. A penalty lane does not need to be cleared. Penalty area. Players receiving yellow or red cards will leave the field of play and kneel or sit in the penalty area for 2 minutes of elapsed playing time. No substitute may take her place. Early entry on a card. If any player enters the game before the penalty time has elapsed, she shall be removed from the field of play. If the player entering early is not the player who received the original card, the officials will send off the player who is closest to the substitution area. The player originally receiving the card will serve the remainder of her penalty time and an additional 2-minute penalty, and no substitute may take her place. A change of possession will take place at the spot of the ball if warranted, and a free position for a major foul will be awarded. Note that this is an extension of the penalty time and not an additional card. Bench decorum. If the head coach has administered a red card for the actions of bench personnel, both the head coach and offender must be removed from the game. Only one player shall be removed, and this counts as 1 card in the team card total. U9, U11 carding. At the U9 and U11 levels, when a player receives a yellow card, she must leave the field for 2 minutes of elapsed play. A substitute will take her place. Reporting of incidents. Any non-game incident before, during, or after play should be reported to the state per state guidelines. Manufacturer specifications. Pocket stringing. Effective September 1st, 2013, pockets may not be attached by looping over the top of the bottom rail or in decorative holes. Officials should look to see that the pocket is strung using dedicated stringing holes. Thongs must nominally be the same width along their full length. A second material may be used in close proximity to the scoop and the ball stop to allow attachment of each thong to the head. Bent shafts may only be used with heads that are specifically designed to accommodate them. Officials should utilize the table test to verify correct matching of heads and shafts. Signals. Cross in the sphere. A signal has been added to clarify a cross in the sphere call. The official should move her hand with an open palm over her head in an arching motion from one shoulder to the other. Points of emphasis. Offensive fouls. A player is entitled to her position on the field. too often, the defending player is unduly penalized for legally defending her space. Officials are instructed to pay particular attention to attacking players that gain an advantage by forcing their way into an established defender. Additionally, the defense must be allowed to legally check an opponent's cross. A foul should be called when the attack player pulls her cross in toward her head, body, to prevent defender who is in good defensive position from making a legal play on the ball. In this first clip, white number 1 is running hard into the critical scoring area. Number 4, red, moves to defend. Red gets to her position on the field first and has given the white player time and space to change direction, so it is the responsibility of white to avoid contact. Since white number 1 does not alter her path and runs into number 4, red, this is white's foul. Charging is called. In the second clip, the charge is not as obvious. Number 10, white, is moving the ball up the sideline and uses the legal pick set by her teammate. Watch as number 6, green, establishes legal defensive positioning. She has given white time and space to change direction. Instead of avoiding her, white initiates contact and leans into green, forcing her backwards. Note that the defense does not have to be stationary when defending. This is charging and should be called on white. Here, number 3, white, attempts to go around the blue defender, but pulls out when her pathway is blocked. Observe the second blue defender who has dropped in to help double team. As white attempts to drive to goal, the defenders legally close the space between themselves. Notice the defense does an excellent job of moving their feet and keeping their sticks in safe legal positions. White continues into the established double team and is called for forcing through because she is the one who created the contact. This next clip shows white number 22 positioned to channel the red attacker into a double team. Instead of changing direction, watch as red pulls the ball into her body and sphere, making a legal check impossible. Be sure to look for attack players who pull the stick into an illegal position to avoid a check by the defense, especially when they are double or triple teamed. Lack of body control by an offensive player often leads to a charge and may take place with or without the ball.
All right, I just want to point out a couple things. This is a women's lacrosse rulebook. If you don't recognize this, I'd advise you to get one. You all should be members of US Lacrosse. You should have gotten one. If you have not gotten one, call US Lacrosse. All right? The cool thing about this one is that the person on the cover is from Oak Mill School. So she is a New Jersey girl, which is pretty cool because this is a national book. This is another book that we all should have, and that is the Youth Guidebook, second edition. Last year was the first edition. There were some mistakes, and there was also some rule changes. So you need the second edition, so make sure that you get that too, and that should have came with the rule book. Again, if you don't have it, please call them, please get it. As long as you join US Lacrosse and your membership is renewed, these are the things you get. All right, basically this is just philosophy of US Lacrosse. I'm not going to bore you by reading it. This PowerPoint will be put online. Okay, next. All right, this I will bore you with because I keep getting questions on this. This is in our rules. This is online. This has not changed in I don't know how many years. Thank you to our umpires for not changing it. But basically this is what the fees. What I will tell you, if you want to read the bottom in the red, anything I read in red is the things that you should really know about. It says payment should be net of before any taxes. So if you have a town that decides that you are going to pay through the town, through the recreation, and they are going to take taxes out, that means you probably need to pay $70. Whatever it is to figure out to get them to $60. I don't know if any towns do that anymore. There was a town one year that decided to do that, which really stunk, because then these umpires were only they were not getting the full value. No, if you have one umpire on the game, it's $90. It is not double. So one umpire, whatever, sometimes a car breaks down. I always assign two, but sometimes something happens. But if you were playing a U11 7v7 game, you will only have one umpire, and then it's just a $45 fee. You do not have to pay them $90. All right? We're talking about the U11 full field 12v12 or the U13 and U15. All right, those are your divisions. Those are divisions. We talked about this. We've exhausted it to nausea. So I'm not going to go over it again. You all should know what you're playing. We were playing U15, U13, U11. U9 if you have little kids, and that usually stays in-house. All right, these are durations of games. U15, we play 25-minute running halves. All right? And the running halves, there was a clarification because last year there was kind of a confusion. If there is not a 10-goal differential, and I would hope that in every single one of your games there should not be a 10-goal differential. All right? At the last 2 minutes of each game, no matter what, the clock stops on every whistle. But if you are that 6 o'clock game and you start late, you don't get there in time, you don't start at 6, at 5 to 7, if you do not have lights, that 6 o'clock game will be over. So, no matter what running time it is, the umpires are instructed to tell the coaches, you got about 1 minute, this game's going to be over because the 7 o'clock game needs to start in time. It's not fair to those kids that they need to play short when it's a 6 o'clock game that actually really started late. Coaches know that if you have 2 games back to back, get your kids there, get them warmed up. When that 6 o'clock game's over, that is not the time to start a drill. That is the time to come together. You already should have come together with your teams. You have room on the side of the field. Come together with your teams. Know the starting lineup already, so when that whistle blows, that 6 o'clock game's over, that 7 o'clock game is ready to start. Just pretend you're at a tournament or you're indoors when they don't give you any warm-up time. This is what you have. The umpires know that if you were there and you are not on the 7 o'clock game, go over to the 2 teams that are there and do your stick check. Get everything done before that 6 o'clock game's over. All right, unfortunately, if the 2 umpires are on back-to-back games, then we're going to have to take a little time to do stick checks and everything, but we'll get it done as quickly as possible. And if you guys are ready, don't wait till after we get done doing stick checks to tell your starting lineup. All right? If there is a 10-goal differential, then the clock does not stop on every whistle in under 2 minutes. And again, in the Jgla, we do not encourage at all ever having a 10-goal differential. All right? And no timeouts. That's if you're doing a tournament. You're doing a U15 select tournament. There are no timeouts in the last 5 minutes because we have a central horn in those games. Okay. All right. This is equipment. U15. We're going to start with the U15. They will play with a regulation lacrosse stick. All right. U15, U13, which means that it has a regulation pocket. It can be 35, the minimum is 35.5 inches, the maximum is 43.25 inches, which is the way they come. So the minimum, now what you want to do with the minimum, because if you have a smaller player, you want to have them hold out their stick and cut off anything that hangs out. All right? When we're looking for pockets as an umpire, we're putting the ball in the pocket. I have a tennis racket right here, right now, and we are going, and we are make sure we can move the ball freely. U13, U15, that must happen. We move down to the U11 level, and they are allowed to have the U11, U9. They are allowed to have what's called a modified pocket, meaning that the ball is allowed to be seen below the sidewall, but it still must move freely when the umpire moves it. I would encourage you at your U11, U9 levels to have them loosen their sticks. A U11 and U9 player, some U13 and U15 players, are not going to be able to play with this stick. So get them, if your first couple practices, get them to loosen them up, get them to have the stick where that they can be able to have success by catching and throwing well. All right, a goalie stick can be 52 inches. If anybody knows what 52 inches is, it's kind of long. All right, and the reason why they made this rule is because that's how they come. And the umpires were having to tell kids that they couldn't play that day with that goalie stick because it wasn't short enough. Well, now 52 inches, it's always pretty much going to be short enough. But I would suggest that if you have goalies and you have smaller goalies, cut your sticks. All right, they are allowed to be the same thing as a field stick, a minimum of 35.5. All right, next. All right, that's a field. Anybody ever want to see one? All right, go ahead next. That's not a field. All right. Okay, penalty area. We talked about the penalty area. Excellent. Can we go back a couple? I missed something. Nope, I didn't. That's just 6, right? Okay, good. Must come later. Penalty area. This is going to be a challenge, I know, to most people, because most of you don't even have a table or chairs or a clock or a bench. But what we want to tell you is bring cones and mark off a substitution area. Substitution area is a 10-yard area from your 50. It's 5 yards on each side. Behind that substitution area is going to be your penalty area, and then behind that is supposed to be your table. Your table is 4 meters off the field. Your bench area is 4 meters off the field. Coaches, you belong 4 meters off the field. All right? You do not have sticks in your hand. I know you all want to play, but you don't belong there. We will be encouraging you this year. Umpires will ask you nicely the first couple times to move back. All right? So just know now that you are going to start back because you do not need to be on the field. You are not playing. We need to have room to play, to get wide and see things. You don't. All right, we're talking about the coaches area. The U15 coaches, they will go from their end of their substitution area. Nobody is allowed in the substitution area except for substitutes. So they go from their 45 all the way down to their end line on their side of the field. That is a U15 coaching area. When you get to U13, they are allowed to go behind the table, behind the other team's bench, and then be from probably about the 30 down, and they are allowed to coach their goalies from there. All right? We move down to the U11 and U9. You are allowed to have one coach on the field for the purpose of coaching, not for the purpose of reffing. All right? I will also encourage, when you are coaching, when the umpire blows the whistle to call a foul, that is not the time that you want to be coaching. Because what happens is that we are trying to get the players' attention and tell them where to go. And if you start screaming at them, they can't focus on 2 different things. And the thing is, you want them to focus on us, because the faster that we tell them where to go and what to do is the faster we blow the whistle. So I know that seems to you like the perfect time to coach because everybody stands still and everybody's quiet and everybody's paying attention, but that is really not the perfect time to coach. Let us do what we need to do, get this set up, and then you can tell them what to do. All right, make sure that your team bench area, unless you are playing on the stadium, that your spectator area is on the opposite side of your bench area. I know me, if I was coaching, I wouldn't want a parent in my ear, so I wouldn't know why you would want one, but this is a rule. The bench area has to be on the opposite, the team area has to be on the opposite side, and they also need to be 4 meters off the field. So whatever you can do to facilitate that, throw some cones out there, whatever you can do to help us, that when we get to the game, we do not have to be moving parents out, because the same thing as you guys don't need to be on the field, the parents don't need to be on the field. All right? So whatever you can do to make that happen, that would be awesome. If you're in a stadium, it doesn't matter. You usually got a stadium, you got track. They're far enough away that we don't care what side they're on. That could be your own personal town preference, and if you want them on the other side, you do it, but it doesn't matter on a stadium. All right. At the U9 level, we encourage a 2-pass rule. The pass does not have to be complete. What it just has to be is just an overhand pass that leaves my cross and goes to attempt to their cross. All right, and that's at the U9 level only. Other than that, it's your own personal preference. If at the U11 you want a pass rule, but do not ask the umpires or do not try to make the umpires to count the passes, because it's not their job and they're not going to do it because they're worried about so many other things that, you know, if the kid goes and scores on 1 pass and you decided there was a 2-pass, it's a goal. All right, so that's personal coach's preferences, what you guys want to do and what you want to agree on. All right, now, see, I knew this was here. All right, first thing we want to talk about is a mouth guard. All right, mouth guards come in all shapes and sizes, and they come in all kinds of weird things. You little kids, you usually don't have it because they haven't come to the fact that they're strong enough to chew through a mouth guard. This is the mouth guard. This is a properly fitted mouth guard. Goes in my mouth. I can talk with it. It doesn't bother me. It's there. Covers my back teeth. It happens to be Defender. It is custom made. All right? You can go from that to this, probably, it's probably more, I always say $1.99, but I'm sure it costs more than that now with inflation. This one, don't goes in, it's fit to me, I have a really hard time talking, and it's really uncomfortable, but whatever. That's the kind you want to use. You know that it is molded and it is cut to meat. So make sure that you players, if they don't know how to do it, have a mouth guard party. All right? Boiling water, you dip it in, or make sure their parents do it. Do not, if you have a player that comes to practice with this straight out of the package, tell them the next time they come to practice, please have it molded. Because there's nothing more uncomfortable than a not properly fitted mouth guard, and if it's uncomfortable, guess what? They're not going to wear it. I will tell you, coaches, at every practice, you make sure that your players have all their protective equipment on, because what ends up happening is that you're in charge when they're there, and you're in charge of making sure they enforce the rules. If you have a player that is playing without their mouth guard in, or without their goggles, whenever a ball's in play, make sure they have their goggles on. I would even encourage them when they're running. Whatever they're doing, once they walk on that field, those goggles are on their head, they're on their eyes, not just on top of their head. Whenever there's a ball in play, there's a mouth guard in their mouth. And the only reason why that is because it's a big liability that they're supposed to be wearing protective equipment that states in the rule book, and then they don't wear it. Officials, nothing worse than when we walk on the field, and we're looking at the field, and I see kid with their goggles around their eyes. Where's your mouth guard? Oh, it's over in my bag. All right, that just tells me at practice, you don't make them wear it, because they're used to not wearing. If I come onto the field and the team, they have their goggles on, they have their mouth guards in, and there's one or two players that don't have it in, those kids are the rebels no matter what. But that tells me, as a coaching staff, you are definitely encouraging them to wear their equipment. We move down. The mouth guard cannot be clear or white, so if they have a dentist kind of mouth guard, I know it sounds silly, but even if you just color it with a Sharpie, it's not clear or white anymore. Just color the front. All right, and the reason for that is that it is very easy to see something like this when the child smiles. If they have a clear mouth guard on and we can't see it, I don't know why they don't want white, because you can kind of see white, but white is the same color as teeth. All right, eye protection. They show it on the video. If you do not know, if your kid comes with a funky looking kind of eye protection, there are some funky ones out there, make sure that either they show you the box, because the box will say that it's ASTM certified for girls lacrosse. You're playing youth lacrosse, so it only has to be girls lacrosse. It doesn't have to be women's and girls lacrosse. Or if you go on that USL website where they showed you, they will, every single approved eyewear is there. From rec specs all the way down. They are allowed to wear eyeglasses underneath their wire goggles. That is allowed. And they are allowed to wear the sunglasses as long as they are ASTM certified. You notice, and then you can do closely fitted gloves, soft headgear. I did send out something to, I don't know if you all got it. That headgear that they showed, while it looks soft, actually has a hard shell. And that is why it's not approved. And if anybody actually had paid attention, actually went on their website, they said that it's approved for girls and women's lacrosse. It is not. So if a kid comes with this, if you haven't seen it, you emailed your coaches, your program should be sending it out to you. It's also on the US Lacrosse website. They are allowed to wear soft headgear. So I believe there's a soccer headband. It's soft, it's pliable. That's allowed. There's like a boxing helmet if somebody has a concussion problem. And it's very soft. It's a soft helmet. That is allowed. But anything with a hard shell or that is hard is not allowed. They can wear closely fitted gloves, which means like a batting glove, or there are girls lacrosse gloves, means they can't wear boys lacrosse gloves. All right? Goalie equipment. Make sure, again, every practice, every time there is a goalie in play, if you are playing with a goalie, that your goalie has on a helmet that's NOXI certified. It says it right in the back of the helmet. They have a separate throw protector, and it could be one of those hanging, you know, like the boys have, the goalie throw protectors. It could be a baseball thing that hangs from. They make them for lacrosse. They're bigger, and it also could be a wraparound. But it has to be a separate throw protector. Don't just throw the helmet on without a throw protector. All right. They also must wear a mouth guard. Even though they're goalies, they are not exempt from the mouth guard because the mouth guard actually prevents against concussion, and a goalie getting hit in the head with a helmet will not prevent against concussion. All right. As we move down, they must have a chest protector on. All right. They must have goalie gloves on, which they don't have to be goalie gloves per se. Boys lacrosse gloves are fine. All right. They must have a pelvic girdle on and leg guards. Pants come up, but make sure that they get the pants, not that just come short. There's actually a pair of pants with a pelvic girdle. Make sure that they have those on, or there's a separate pelvic girdle that you can get. All right, so make sure you look at your equipment. Make sure that they have leg guards, and they also have shin guards. Shin guards, doesn't matter what they are. I've seen goalies from having body armor on, the baseball shin guards where they can't even move, to having little soccer shin guards. Either, all is fine, as long as they have something on. If you notice on the bottom, coaches are responsible for having their team legally equipment and uniforms. As umpires, we get to the field. When we do our pregame meeting, we ask you, is your team equipped to play women's lacrosse or girls lacrosse today? You tell us yes. We are done. We are not touching your goalie, checking your goalie. What we will do is check your sticks and check to see if they have mouth guards and check to see if they have goggles. We are not checking to see if the goggles are legal. We're only checking to see if they have them. We are not checking to see if the mouth guard's legal unless it looks really funky that we'll throw it out. We are just asking you. So if you say yes, that means it should be yes. And to know that it's yes, you need to check this stuff before your first game. Make sure when you meet with your players, you have practice, that you get all this stuff in a row. I know it sounds like a lot of responsibility, but it is your responsibility to make sure that they are ready to go. All right, this is another big one. Make sure that your goalkeepers wear their shirt over their chest protector. All right? I don't know how many times, and it usually happens because at halftime you're busy, you're changing your goalie, you're changing equipment around, and the goalie comes out to start the second half, and she's got her chest protector over her jersey. The object for her to have a jersey on is so we can tell what team she's on, and for her to have a number so we know who she is. So it would really be good to get a separate kind of goalie jersey. It can be a penny. Number front, number back, legal. All right? It could be a football jersey. It could be a boys lacrosse jersey. Something that's different. And also tell your kids that are going to be playing goalie and field to wear something underneath their uniform shirt so that when they take off their uniform shirt and put on their chest protector, they have something on. I know it sounds silly, but these are things that you just have to remind kids because sometimes they'll forget, and all of a sudden you're like, okay, go and goal, and she's like, well, I can't take my shirt off because I have nothing on, I don't have a t-shirt or anything on underneath it. So make sure you do that. We're talking about visible undergarments, and visible undergarments are defined as when I am standing still, what the umpire can see. All right? What happens is that when underneath your kilt and your shorts, you are allowed to wear black, white, gray, or your team colors. Now, if I choose to wear black underneath, you all need to be in black. Those multicolored, funky things that you buy in tournaments, they're also for practice. If you have a girl that actually keeps her kilt not rolled all the way up and everything showing, and she wants to wear those, as long as when she's standing still and we don't see them, we're fine. All right? But it's also for team looking good kind of thing. You don't want them all in all kinds of different colors. So tell them, pick a color, wear it. Same thing underneath. I am wearing black. I am wearing black underneath. I'm allowed to wear black, white, or gray underneath my uniform. If, as a player, I choose to wear black, everybody has to wear black. You don't have to wear anything, but we get those cold nights. Make sure that you tell your girls, whatever color you choose, that's going to be the color. And I don't care, black, white, or gray, or the predominant color of your jersey, that is the color that they all wear. All right? And it sounds silly, but it makes a lot of sense when we go to call the game. that we know if one team's in black, if they're both in black, it drives me crazy, but there's nothing we can do about it. I know, again, it makes it look just to look nice in the uniform. All right, this has been in the rule book since 2008. Basically, it's the size of panels of your jersey, that they only can be 3 inches now. Hopefully, none of you have jerseys that are old and made wrong. Because what ends up happening is if your uniform does not meet specifications, meaning you have one of those uniforms that has the U side panel, the very first draw of the game will just be a turnover. We will treat it like a minor foul violation. After that, we forget about it. All right? That also goes for if your kids do not have the proper under things on. If they don't have the proper t-shirts on. We'll let them play with it, but just know it's a turnover. A lot of times, we don't deal with all that stuff because it's your job dealing with it. But just know if a coach says to us, hey, that team is not properly, doesn't have the proper uniform on, we got to do something about it. We would hope that nobody would be that person, but it could happen. All right? All right, head coach. How many head coaches in this room? All right. You guys are responsible for everything. You're responsible for your bench. You're responsible for your team. You get to talk to the official, and you're the only one. You also get to get the misconduct card if we have to give one out, but we'll talk about that later. All right? Captains also. Your speaking captains, it's no longer a speaking captain, it's just your captains. They are also allowed to approach the umpire. Just know that if the head coach approaches the umpire at the proper time, which is at a timeout, at halftime, or after the game, or before the game, just know that if you approach the umpire, what the umpire is going to do is they are going to ask the other head coach if they want to join. It's not an insult to you, it's just that people perceive things differently. And if I am talking to this person, they're going to perceive maybe that I'm just, making a deal. He's making a deal with me. He's giving me some money on the side, whatever. But if I bring the other coach over, they hear the exact question. And also, the other coach might have the exact same question. So that is why it's the head coach's responsibility to ask the question. So if you have a question, save it for those appropriate times. I also would encourage the coaches to work together as head coaches. That if you feel that the game is not being called safely enough, and it's all about safety. If you feel that we're not calling enough covers or empty stick checks, we really probably don't want to hear that. But if it's something safety that you don't think we're calling a stick to the body good enough, or we're forgetting the 3-second good defense, those are the things that you can get together with each other and get together with the umpire and kind of remind the umpire that they're supposed to be doing these things. Oh, wait, we'll go back. It's actually in the next slide too. Sideline manager. Before the game starts, all right, we used to have these cool little sportsmanship cards. We really don't have them anymore. But basically, it's a sideline manager. What is the sideline manager's job? Each team will provide a sideline manager, home and away. And their job is to make sure that they control the actions of the sidelines effectively. Meaning, if you have somebody that's being a jerk, keeps screaming at the umpire, keeps screaming at the other team, whatever, the sideline manager will just go over nicely and ask the person to tell them that they're not conducting themselves in the proper way. Even though they're adults, they should know they're not conducting themselves in the proper way, but sometimes people get crazy and they forget. So that's what the sideline manager is. The game will not start without a sideline manager for each team. The umpire will ask you. Now, I will tell you that sometimes umpires are in a rush or they just forget. If I'm coming from doing a college game, a high school game, then I'm doing a youth game, I might forget that in that game I need a sideline manager. All right? Nothing is wrong with when I bring you together and we introduce ourselves and you say, hey, I have my sideline manager. You want them right now. Nothing's wrong with you reminding me. If I forget to remind you, don't think that that's the day that you get away with it. Oh, I don't need one today. They didn't ask. No. We work together. All right? All right. All officials will meet with the coaches and check their certification. No, we've had a lot about this. There's been a lot of emails coming out about it. U.S. Lacrosse is aware I know another email came out today that the conference president will get out to you how to get your coach's certification. Last year, your card said that you were level 1 or above certified. If you still have that card in this year's U.S. Lacrosse updated card is good, because your level 1 certification does not expire. It only expires every 2 years is your background check. All right, so they're not going to give you a card every year, but as umpires, we are going to look for something. An email from U.S. Lacrosse saying that you were level 1 certified, saying that you're pending to be, because we have classes going on, and you might not get anything. We don't care what you provide to us. It just has to be something with your name on it that says that you are U.S. Lacrosse level 1 certified. All right? If we get there, and at the U15 select level, all the head coaches are not level 1 certified, we will play modified checking. If we get to the U15 full checking game, and the head coach is not level 1 certified, we will play no checking. I'm sorry, we will play modified checking. If we get to the U13 level, U13 select level, and all the coaches are not level 1 certified, we will play no checking. At the U13 regular level, if the head coach is not level 1 certified, we will play no checking. We play no checking anyway, you don't have to be certified. So those are just know that that is progression down. So just make sure that you have some kind of proof with you at all times. Again, this is another one of those things that we might forget to ask you. There's nothing wrong with you saying, hey, you forgot to ask my level 1, here it is. What we are going to do is we are going to bring the coaches together with the captains. But probably before that, when we walk around the field, we're probably going to ask you for your level 1 certification at some point within the half an hour before the game so that you have time to remember that you need it. All right, right, umpires? All right, we talk about the sideline manager, and then we meet with the captains and we go over field lines. When we meet with the captains, we usually bring the coach in, and at that point, we can also bring the sideline manager in, so that we all hear the same things together.
Could you go over that again, just about all, say, U13 and U15?
What about it?
If all the coaches, you said, and I just wanted to clarify if I heard it correctly, if all the coaches aren't level 1 certified. So in our town, what I understood was we only needed to have like a head coach and
no, okay. The rules for select, to play select, and that's U15, U13 select, in the JGLO rules and guidelines is that every coach needs to be level 1 certified to be on that sideline. For regular travel, it's head coach. Okay? So it's not just, so if you choose to have 4 coaches on that sideline for your select game, all 4 need to be level 1 certified. You can choose to have 1 coach. Just know also that if that coach comes without their certification, and they do not have their level 1 certification at that select game, do not send them to the other side to coach. If they go to the other side, they are a parent. And you cannot coach in lacrosse from the other side of the field. So that would be a penalty to the head coach. So if you forget your certification, you get thrown off the sideline, or you choose to stay on the sideline, you just play modified checking. We're going to play the game. Just these are, we had to have some kind of penalty, because if not, then why have anything if you don't have a penalty for it? Last year the penalty was not to play the game. We did play quite a few games. This year we decided that's not fair to the kids, so this is our other penalty. All right? Change the slide already. I was like, wait a minute, where did my certification go? This is saying that the game is started with a draw, all right, after each goal. Mr. Dwayne, can you come up and help me, please?
Yes.
Instead of talking back here?
I've been waiting for somebody to call you.
Come on. I need 2 centers. Okay, basically, well, we're talking about the draw, all right? We're talking about that the players are going to have their open face facing the goal they're defending, open face facing the goal they're defending. They're going to have their toe to the line, which means that one of their feet are going to be on the line. The sticks are going to be parallel to the line, all right? And the sticks have to be at hip level. Little kids, I'm going to bring my hip level down. These 2 are kind of tall. We're okay. Now, this player, either player can choose to squat, bend down. That's fine. They can choose to pick this stick up. That's fine. What they can't do is that. You cannot drop any part of your stick below your hip level. So don't teach them how to draw like that because that's illegal. Most kids just draw like this, and we as umpires are going to place the ball in the upper third of the cross, and we're good. So if she wants to go up, okay, right? If he wants to stand up straight, tall, or lower, umpire now is going to make the decision. She can come to this side. What?
How far can that butt end go up when a person is tilted his stick?
As far as you want. You can't go down. You can go up, you can't. But remember now, if they go up 4, we are not going to have an even draw. The umpire is going to bring them down.
Yeah, okay.
So, yes, you can, but no, you can't.
But the ref will.
Right.
Okay.
Right. Now, what happens is that person decides they want to draw. Just leave the stick and go to the other side. Leave your stick. Okay? Perfectly legal. Leave your stick, go to the other side. Perfectly legal. All right? The sticks never change, and this is what the umpires will do. The kids can't decide where they want to be. They will say, okay, I'll take your sticks, you go. All right, because I know at the little kids level, it kind of gets harder and harder, or hard to decide where they want to be. But that's how you do the draw. All right, don't go too far. I need my stick back. You can sit. You can sit now, but I mean, don't go too far. All right. Okay. All right, the draw, we just talked about it, keep going. I always get it. But go back to one more, where's my highlight error? Oh, for U13 and below. I know, see, I have these highlight areas for my brain. For U13 and below, if there's a 4-goal differential at any point in the game, you can opt not to do a draw. And what will happen is that as we're going by, you can just say, I want the ball. Nice and easy. Umpires will come to the center, they will blow their whistle, they'll tell everybody to stand because on the draw is the only time that the players do not have to stand. They can move around. What they cannot do is enter the center circle before the draw is taken, and the ones that are below the restraining line cannot come over the restraining line before the draw is taken. In between the restraining lines, you're allowed 5 sets of players. That's your maximum. You can have less. 2 of them are usually centers. And then there's other 4. All right? Below the restraining lines, there's other 6 people, because we're going to assume that the goalies are in their goal. The other 6 people can go wherever they want on either side of the restraining line, but what they can't do is, as the umpire comes in and steps in, decide to move then. So the umpire is going to hold the ball up, basically, and they're going to look around, and then they're going to step in, put their hand down. At that point, you have to be kind of set of what players you want over your restraining line. So you can have 4 defenders and only 2 attackers. Doesn't matter to us. What matters is what's in the middle. All right, so let your players know. Also, don't encourage them not to run through the goal circle if you tell them to change positions, up to the center circle. All right? You want Becky to go over there, and she's standing here. Teach her to go around. Okay? Not through, because going through, remember, we're playing a running clock. So the more time that the players waste to get the draw set up, also when you want to sub, don't wait until the umpire starts to go to the middle, decide, oh, I want to sub now, and start calling people off. All right? You can call the people off the 5 in the middle because they're allowed to move, but don't send the player on. Make sure you properly sub. As soon as that goal is scored, before we take the ball from the goalie, that's when your time is when you're going to want to sub. All right, and that 4-goal differential, when we blow the whistle, now we tell everybody to stand. We're going to give the ball to the team that has the fewer goals, put it in her cross. We're going to move the center 4 meters away at a 45-degree angle. All of the players are standing. They're all outside the circle. They're all below the restraining line of where they're going to be. So obviously, as a coaching standpoint, if you know that there's a 4-goal differential and you are the winning team and you know you're going to be playing defense, have your girls go to the defensive end. Because you know once I blow my whistle and tell you to stand, you're done. All right, so try to teach them that to get that mindset.
Is it still like the losing coach's choice?
Correct. And I was going to get to that. Yes. That 4-goal differential, you can decide the first time it's a 4-goal differential that you want the ball back or you don't want the ball. And you can do it every time. So if you're losing by 4, you say, you know what, I want to take one more chance. I want the draw. They go down, bang, they score. Now you're losing by 5. You know what, I want the ball. All right, so the losing coaches, or the team that does not have the 4-goal differential. The winning coach has nothing to say about this. So if they want the ball, they get the ball. All right.
Is that 4-goal differential only with U13?
Correct. U13 and below. No, U15. U15 is playing full checking regular lacrosse rules. All right. And what? That's what didn't come up. This must be my old PowerPoint. All right. It's at the end. All right. Thank you for reminding me that I changed the PowerPoint around. This is not that one. All right. The stand, we talked about what the stand is. Basically, what you would want to do at practices and stuff, practice the stand. Okay? Periodically tell your kids you're going to blow the whistle. And when you blow the whistle, you want them to stop. Stop what they're doing, freeze tag, however you want to call it. Because, again, that helps the umpires when they get there and they blow the whistle. Because women's lacrosse is probably the only game that I can think of that when a whistle blows it, everybody has to stand still. Because it's a relative position game. And when I give you the ball and I move players around, you need to be in the same relative position you were when I started. So practice the stand, especially the littler kids. Get them used to it. You're doing drills, whatever you're doing. Blow your whistle, everybody has to stand. And then you can continue on from there. But it really does help. It speeds up the game. Remember, we're on this running clock thing. Alright, restraining line. A player must have 5 people behind the restraining line when they're in the offensive end. Because one of them is usually your goalie. If you are playing U11 12v12 without a goalie, you still need the 5 people back. Alright? If you are playing U11 12v12 without a goalie, also 5 defenders have to stay back. So what you are going to be doing at that level is playing 7v7 at all times, because you don't want at that level to have that one rover playing defense, because it's not fair to the offense. The kids are not skilled enough to know what to do about that. All right. Now we move up to U13 or U11 12v12 with the goalie. U13, U15. You attack 7 attackers, 8 defenders, because the 8th defender is your goalie. So you're still attacking 7v7. All right? The player is playing with fewer than 12 players due to an injury. You are allowed to have not 4 people back. So if I'm playing with 11 because somebody got hurt, I only have 11. You are still allowed to attack with the 7 and keep 3 back. If you are playing short at the U13, U15 level because you have a yellow card or a red card, you must play short at both ends of your field. So 4 stay back at all times. You attack with 6 or you defend with 6. At the U11 level, we will have that person sit, the U11, U9, and I can't even imagine the U11 or U9 player getting a card. I couldn't even imagine the cheers that would happen if she got the card. But if she does get the card, she sits in the penalty area, and you must sub for her if you have a sub. Obviously, if you don't have a sub, but if you do not have a sub, you are still allowed to play. You do not play short below your restraining lines. Okay, we talk about out of bounds. When the ball goes out of bounds, the umpire blows the whistle. Then what happens? Again, this is that whole stand thing. We blow the whistle, everybody stands. If it went off me and goes out of bounds on a pass, it goes to the other team. We will send the player to go get the ball, and we will bring them in now 2 meters. No longer 4. We bring them in 2. Other players around them go 1 meter away, and we restart play. If I am running on the boundary, and my foot touches the boundary line, I am out of bounds. It's a minor foul. Also, if I'm running on the boundary, and I step over the boundary line, and I reach back in to pick up a ground ball, I am out of bounds. That's a minor foul. You cannot play the ball if you are out of bounds. All right? You may leave. All right? So, you're going to be up next. So what ends up happening is that teacher players that as they're running to the boundary, or they're playing on the boundary, that they cannot step on it. What I can do is I can cradle outside the boundary, and as long as my feet stay inside the boundary. That is perfectly legal. And a defender cannot come up behind me and step out of bounds to defend me. She has to stay behind me. So basically, if I'm running down the field this way with my stick this way, the defender has to be here or here. I can't get a good defense called against me. A 3-second good defense. But just know that once she steps out of bounds, or if she steps out of bounds, it is a turnover. That's all I just said. Okay, now we're talking about shot and deflected shot. Basically, if I take a shot and it hits the goalie, hits the goalpost, hits the player behind the net, hits their stick, and goes out of bounds, whoever is closest at that moment will get the ball. All right? And basically what the umpires are looking for, the girl turns around and they're looking for whatever stick is closer. So you can have a player that a person is closer. All right, so basically I'm taller than her. So she can be close, stick your stick out a little bit. You like, do that. She could be doing that, and I do this. It's my ball, as long as I'm running this way. Even if she does that, because I'm bigger. All right, and I'm behind. We're even, which will never happen. We do a throw. So what we are looking for as umpires. What we are looking for as umpires is not only who's closer, but who's closer when we blow the whistle. It is amazing because coaches never pay attention until we blow the whistle. So we as umpires, we're there, we're looking. We notice already that white is getting the ball. We blow our whistle, we give the ball to white, and inevitably when we blow our whistle, guess who's closer? Red. And you guys look up and go, oh my God, red was closer, what are you doing? Well, because we are looking for who's closer when we blow our whistle, not who's closer when they get done running. Who doesn't stand well. All right? Also, tell your players that if they run out of bounds, before we blow that whistle, they are not eligible for that ball. So they can be closer, but if they're standing on the boundary line or they are out of bounds, remember you can't play the ball from an out of bounds position, so they can't get the ball. So you might see sometimes we'll give the ball to the kid who's not closer, and that's the reason why. Because the other kid ran out of bounds. The other player ran out of bounds. So just pay attention to that and tell them, not only do they have to get to the boundary line, but they actually have to stop. All right? All right. Goal circle. There is no deputy goalies in youth lacrosse, any level, even at the U15 full checking. So the only person that is allowed in that goal circle is a fully dressed goalkeeper. So there, we took away, and it was taken away last year, that whole way you can drop the ball because your goalie can't throw. Sorry, she's going to have to do something with it. All right? She has 10 seconds to get out of there, so she has to do something with it. And 10 seconds starts when the ball enters the goal circle, not when the goalie picks it up. So she's got butterfingers and she's not picking it up. She's allowed to pick it up with her hands. So she has a hard time scooping it up with her stick. Tell her to pick it up and pop it across. Nothing wrong with that. All right? But she is not allowed, within 10 seconds, she has to get it out. All right? If you decide that we have the 10-second and you decide your goalie can't clear it because she can't get it out, and you call timeout when we get down to 2 or 1 or 3, when we go back, guess what? We're at 2 or 1 or 3. The only time that 10-second count would continue after that is if a foul happened. If a foul happened in that time, then that goalie would get a whole new 10-second count. All right? Okay. No. Nobody in the youth level is allowed in there other than the goalkeeper. All right? At any level of youth lacrosse, there is no deputy goalkeeper. All right. Basically, a throw just happens if 2 things happen at the same time, offsetting fouls, you know, whatever. We do a throw, we stand the players, we throw the ball, they run towards us. Go ahead. We talked about the substitution procedure. It says no other player or coaches are allowed in the substitution area. So that's why we need those cones at that 45 so you even know for your own where I need to go. The only people allowed in that substitution area are the subs that are imminent to come into the game. So don't think that you're going to run lines and you're going to stand kids in that substitution area and run them as they come out. And this isn't boys lacrosse. All right, we're not running. You can run lines, but you got to do it properly. Kid has to start outside the substitution area. Once she's ready to go in, she calls the other girl off. The other girl comes all the way off the field, and then that girl goes in. All right? You can do it anywhere. So if I want to sub for my attack and my bench is here, I can go down to that other 45-yard line and stand there. Wait, and that girl can come off as long as she does it inside the substitution area. Do not call them onto the bench, because that is not proper subbing. You're not teaching them the right way how to do it. All right? If the umpires do see it, it is a minor foul. All right? Teach them what the substitution area is. Teach them that they have to go on and off the field in the substitution area.
When you showed originally at the other meeting and this meeting the new area for where
The penalty that's behind the substitution area.
Yeah. I went to go show it to my ground crew the other day, and it's not listed.
It is, but it's in the highlighted area of where it should be.
Okay, I just
Yeah. And
picture-wise,
Yeah.
you know, because those guys they
Right.
provide the pictures, they don't
yeah.
see nothing.
And it's also on the DVD.